Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. Selamat sore semuanya. Welcome back to Theory of Literatures. Okay, after you had a mid-test last week, hope you are okay today and you have a good mark for your mid-test. Okay, now today we would like to continue our discussions after we had formalism, new criticisms, and structuralism. Now we go to the deconstructions. Deconstruction here still have relations with the previous, with the formalism or with the structuralism. They are the same because they are a kind of textual analysis. Yeah? It is not contextual analysis. All of them just focus on the text, focus on the intrinsic aspect of the text. Okay, but there are some difference between the deconstructions and the previous theory we had. Now we go to what is deconstructions, the background, the concept, the purpose, the methods, and the applications in literatures. Okay, now we go to the background. The background of deconstruction here is a kind of oppositions to the structuralisms. So deconstructions appear because it is against the structuralisms. Okay, why is it against the structuralisms? Yeah. First, according to deconstructions, structuralism tend to be discriminative. Structuralisms build the meaning from the binary oppositions, which tend to be discriminative. Okay, I will explain it later. And then the second, deconstructions is against the structuralism because structuralism tend to be authoritarians. Structuralism tend to find the total or universal meaning or grammar or structure which avoids the other alternative. Yeah, so that's why I can say that structuralisms tend to be authoritarians because it assumes the only one right meaning, one right structure, while the others are wrong. Okay, now we will breaking down into one by one. Okay, now the first, discriminating binary oppositions. As you can see that structuralism tend to find the grammar, and the grammar here built from the binary opposition. The binary opposition here is a kind of opposing terms, opposing, like for example here you can see the grammas. In the grammas actantial scheme, it is built from the binary oppositions of subject and object, adjuvant and opposings, or helper and the villains, destinators or sender and destinators or receiver. In the structures or in the Todorov schemes, we can also find the binary opposition between equilibrium, disequilibrium, etc. Okay. So back again, that structuralism said that meaning is generated through oppositional unit or binary oppositions, that we can get the meaning because there is binary oppositions. Okay, so for example here in the Ferdinand de Saussure concept about language, there are some oppositional binary oppositionals like langue, parole, signified, signifié, and then in our world too, all narrative is also built by the oppositions between male and female, light and dark, good and bad, hero and villains, between the subject and object, etc., blue sky and earth, etc. So all of the narrative built from the binary opposition. Yeah, it is from the concept of structuralism. However, this concept of binary oppositions tend to be discriminating. Why is it discriminating? Because in the binary opposition, there will be always one side which have privilege and the other side which is marginalized. Okay, so for example, here in binary opposition between male and female, there are always privileges for male, while female is marginalized. In other words, for example, a male is seen as the good, is rational, man is, for example, strong, while female is always described as weak. Female is emotional, cannot think rationally. Yeah? Even female is determined by the existence of male, for example, like that. Okay, and then langue et parole, just like we had in the Saussure last meetings, that Saussure tend to be giving privilege on langue, then parole giving privilege on signified and signifié, etc. Okay, between light and dark. So, for example, we always give privilege or prefer light than darks. We always associate light with goodness, light with the angels, while dark with the badness, with evils, devils, etc. Okay. Okay, and that is discriminating. Yeah, discriminating. When we prefer one side than the other side. When we say that one side is good while other is bad. One side is privileged while other is marginalized. Okay, next. The structuralisms also wants to find the one grammar, the one rights rules, yeah, and it is tend to be authoritarians. As you can see in the example here in the screen, that this is the examples of the way structuralism criticize. Yeah, they want to find one rule that can be implemented to many narrative, many story, or even that rules or that grammar can be used to generate, to make other stories, to make more than one stories. Okay, now this way of thinking made structuralisms into an authoritarians. Okay, so back again, that structuralism tend to search for the grammar or structure that can be implemented to all, that can generate the structure that can produce or make lots of narratives. Okay. Therefore, structuralism tend to be authoritarians. Why is it authoritarians? Because structuralisms will always try to find the right one, yeah, the right one, and the others are wrong. Structuralism will say this structure is right, this structure is universal, while the other structure are wrong. Okay, because structuralism always wants to get one single structure or one single grammar that can be applied to all. So, because structuralisms tend to be authoritative, one wants to have only one right structure, yeah? So there will be no dialogues, no multi-interpretation, no multi-perspective, as if there is only one meaning of a certain works or a certain narrative. The meaning is only one. For example, here, if you say Malin Kundang, so Malin Kundang meaning is always one. What is that? Durhaka. That's it. The other meanings are wrong. Okay, that is the simple examples. Okay. So I repeat once again, deconstructions appear because it rejects or it is against the structuralism's opinion that said binary oppositions that tend to be discriminating, and then deconstruction also reject structuralism because structuralism tend to be authoritarians, only one right grammar. Okay. Now the question is, why structuralisms? Why does structuralism have such opinions about binary oppositions and authoritative meanings? Because back again, it is based on the saucer conceptions. Okay, last week I have explained to you about the concept of Ferdinand de Saussure, which become the background of structuralisms. Now in deconstructions, they want to deconstruct this Saussure. They want to reject the structure and giving new alternative about the theory of meaning. For example, like here. So Ferdinand de Saussure give privilege to signify the concept or the meaning than signifier or sound and images. Saussure wants to give privilege to the langue than the parole. Langue here a rule or grammar than the parole. Now, here deconstructions wants to reject this conception. Okay. For example, here Saussure said that signified is the concept or the meaning derived from the signifier, and then signifier itself can have the meaning because the signified or the concept is it. Now, according to deconstruction, especially here according to the Derrida, signified is not special than signifier. Why? Because signified here, the meaning of signified here derived from the difference of the signifier. Okay. So in other words, signified is only series of unlimited signifier, and signified get its meaning from the difference of signifier. So it is the opposite of Ferdinand de Saussure. Ferdinand de Saussure said that signifier gets its meaning from the signified, while in deconstruction it is the signifier gets the meaning from signifier. I'm sorry, the signified get the meaning from signifier. Okay, why is it like that? Why in deconstruction view that signified get the meaning from signifier? Here, for example, here, the meaning or the signified of chair, or the concept of chair, derived from its different from other signifier such as table, cupboard, and then refrigerator, etc. In other words, that the meaning of chair is something that is not table, that is not cupboard, that is not refrigerator, that is not etc., 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 and it's unlimited. Okay. Therefore, meaning in language can be multiple, ambiguous, slippery, multi-interpretative, unlimited, etc. And it is impossible to get only one meaning, yeah, of a words or of a literary work which is made up by language. Okay, so it is like thesaurus. Okay, thesaurus, maybe if you are familiar with thesaurus, that the meaning of one word, is determined by more than one words, even 1,000 of words. Yeah. For example, the meaning of chair here is something that is not table, that is not like a cupboard, that is not like a refrigerator, that is not like a television, etc., etc., and it is unlimited. Okay, so the meaning of a words determined by the differences of other words too. Okay, so that's why it is not signified which have a privilege, no, but it is deconstructed by the Derrida. No, it is not signified. Even signified is made up of signifier. How can you give privilege to signified than to signifier? So, because there are unlimited, there is unlimited words. There is the multiples meaning of a words, so the meaning itself become postponed or delay or deferred. Okay, the meaning cannot be instantly get; it will be postponed. Yeah. So when, for example, here that we want to try to find what is the meaning of chair. Yeah. So we have to wait. Wait a minute. The chair is a place to sit, but table also can be seated. Someone can be sit on the table too. Someone can sit on the cupboard too. Someone can sit even in the refrigerator. So what is differences between sitting in the table, sitting in the chair, and sitting in the refrigerators, or sitting on the tree, right? So you will have a long way. You will have a long way to determine the meaning of chair. That is why to get the meaning, it will be always postponed, delayed, deferred. You have to wait long. Okay. Next. Now we go to the deconstruction concept. So from my explanations before, we can conclude that deconstruction here, deconstructions reject the one meaning, the one structure, or the one grammar. According to deconstruction, there is no universal structure or universal grammar or one grammar, one meaning. There is no one meaning or one structure. The second, binary opposition as the smallest units of the text is always relying on unfair domination and unbalanced relation. It means that binary oppositions is discriminating, yeah, because unfair. The one side is getting privilege, then the other side is marginalized. Okay. Next, that language is slippery. The meaning of language is ambiguous. It has multiple meaning. It is multi-interpretative. Even the meaning of one word can be multi-interpretative. Yeah. For example, here like the words corona. Corona here can be multi-interpretative. Now we can say the corona is a kind of virus, yes, but corona is also the meaning of corona is also brand of a certain car. Corona it also means the ring of sun when it is eclipsed, etc. And any other meanings of corona, more than one. Okay, so it is multiple meaning. And then, so because language is slippery, language is ambiguous, multi-interpretative, multi-meaning. So language cannot be reliable. It's always postponed. Meaning is determined by the differences or of signifier. So because language here is ambiguous, we cannot rely on the language. Yeah, we always think twice. We will not get the one and the only meaning. Yeah, there will be always lots of meaning. Okay, that is the concept. Next, that language is the mean of instilling ideology, which always determine who's right or wrong, good or bad, friend or foe, enemy. Yeah, why is it ideology? As you can see that binary opposition here relying on the unfair domination or unbalanced relation. Binary oppositions tend to be discriminative, tends to giving privilege to one side and then the other. Just like the ideology. When you have the ideology, you will always determine from that ideology what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. Yeah. For example, if your ideology is communism, so we will always say that religions is bad, yeah, while atheism is good. God is not exist, while human is the real existence. But if you have other ideologies, for example, you have religions or Islamism as your ideologies, you will reject it. You will reject that. You will say that it is good to believe in God, while the atheist is bad. The same Muslim is your helper, that while the atheist is your enemy, for example, like that. Okay, so that's why language will always have ideology in it. Okay, and language is the mean of spreading or instilling ideologies. Here for the examples. Even from this picture, we can get multiple meaning. You can see that it is not only a cat, but you can also find the picture of mouse here. The same like this. You can find more than one meaning. You can find the picture of old man, or you can find the picture of women. Okay, so this is only the examples, yeah, the simulations that something, especially the language, cannot have only one meaning. It will be multi-interpretative. It will be multi-perspective. Now we go to deconstruction purpose and methods. So from the concept of deconstruction, we know that the purpose of deconstruction here is first exposing ambiguity of the language, yeah? Describing that yes, the language is ambiguous, the language is multi-interpretative, multi-meaning. The second, exposing ideology in language, that language have ideology in it, that the language as the means of instilling the ideology or spreading the ideology. Next, and then how the methods. The first, the method of deconstruction is exposing the binary oppositions. So when you want to work with binary, when you want to work with the construction, first of all, the first step you have to do is finding the binary exposition. Yeah, and then the second, after you find the binary exposition, the second is notifying the privileged one. Yeah, try to expose which from this binary opposition which is being privileged and which is being marginalized, which is getting more importance, which is giving more or trivialized. Okay, and then after you can map which is privileged and which is marginalized, you try to reversing. Yeah, reversing here by finding the complexity of that binary opposition. So for example here, that when you say that male is superior than female, so you have to reverse it in the construction, that female can be also superior than male, and male cannot always superior than female. Sometimes the male can be inferior than female, or sometimes the male can be superior than female. In other words, reversing here, try to find the complexity, that male is complex, that female is complex too. Okay, we cannot see both in black and white perspective. Okay, so in literature, if we implement it or if apply in literatures, deconstruction will see the text that made of language, yeah, as multiplicity, overlapping, conflicting meaning in dynamic, fluid relation to one another and to us. Yeah, in other words, that literary text is always multi-interpretative, that literary text meaning is always plural. There is no singular meaning of literary text. So when you read the narrative, you can have multiple meaning of that narrative. When you read Malin Kundang, the meaning of Malin Kundang is not only one. Yeah, it can be so many, depends on your perspective. Next, the purpose of deconstruction in literature is first to reveal the text undecidability or the text ambiguity, and the second to reveal the complex operation of ideologies which text is constructed. So reveal the ideology, just as the same. Yeah. So when you read the literary text or the narrative, try to prove that the meaning is slippery, that the meaning of the narrative can be so many, multi-interpretative or multi-perspective. Or the second, when you read narrative, you have to find, from this narrative there's ideology that operates on the text. Yeah, the ideology that preferred by the text. Okay, now we go to the last, the examples of analysis. This is, I give you the examples of Batman analysis. As you know that in method of the construction, first of all, you have to expose the binary opposition. So for example, here in a Batman film, there are Batman and Joker or Ben as a binary. The hero, Batman as a hero, Joker or Ben as a villain. Batman is good, while Joker and Ben is bad. Batman is obey the rule, obey the law, while the Joker is disobey the law. Okay, that is the binary opposition. Okay, and then the second, try to notify the privilege, which one is privileged and which one is being marginalized. From here we can conclude that it is Batman who is privileged, because he is a hero, he is good, he is obey the law. So all good image belongs to Batman, while Joker and Ben is marginalized, because Joker and Batman and Ben image are bad, criminals, never good, and then always disobey the law. Okay, that's it. And then we go to the third, reverse it by showing the complexity. Okay, now you can see that in Deconstructed Batman here, in the part of Deconstructed Batman, you can see that Batman is not always the good hero. Why? Because Batman as a hero here actually is a kind of revenge. Yeah, Batman become a hero because Batman wants to revenge to the criminals in Gotham who have murdered his parents. So in psychology, that Batman here is having revenge. His actions, killing the murderer, is only the compensations or his revenge to the criminal, because the criminal killed his parents. You can say that Batman is good, but when you deconstruct it, you can say no, Batman is not always good, because his goodness have a motive. The motive is revenge. Okay, so the goodness of Batman is not 100% good, because the motive of his goodness here is revenge. And then you can say, oh, Batman is obeying the law. But when you deconstruct it, no, Batman is not always obey the law. Yeah, Batman obey the law, but with his own style, with his own way. So in other phrases, I can say that Batman is saying, I am the law. So you can see in the superhero movie like Batman, Superman, Avenger, etc. When they try to, for example, fight against the enemy, they will use their own way. Even some of the hero, they pointing the gun to the civilians, asking the cars, yeah, in force in the name of fighting against the enemy. Yeah, or sometimes when fighting against the enemy, the hero also making destructions, yeah, on the properties, making a casualties. Okay, so it is not 100% obey the law. There is a requirement, there is a condition in my own way. Okay, not in the police way, not in the any law enforcers way. Okay, so for example, when Batman live in Indonesia, Batman is also a criminal because Batman give punishment without the procedures of law, without putting the criminals into a trial. Yeah, but sometimes Batman do his own way, kill the enemy without any trial. It is also criminal. Okay, and the opposite, Joker or Ben here is not always wrong, is not always bad. There is also a good side of Joker or Ben. Yeah. Why? First, that Joker or Ben become the villains because they are the product of capitalistic and discriminative system in which Batman is part of it. You know that Batman is the son of entrepreneurs, the son of businessmen, yeah, a big businessman, and his father's business is in armors. His father make lots of weapons for war. Okay, and so that's why Batman live in the system. The system that this system, as a rich man in Gotham City, tend to discriminate the poor, and Joker here is the product of discriminations they have to the poor. Okay, the same like Ben. Ben is also the victims of the system, the victim of authoritarian system. Okay, so in other words, Joker or Ben become the villain not because he or they themselves wants to, but because it is the products, it is the effect of the system, of the wrong system, which the hero is part of it. Okay, and then the second, when you say that Joker or Ben is always bad, no, the badness here again, not solely or not only come from the inner of the Ben or Joker, but because it is from the system. In other words, the system make the Ben or Joker as a bad. Okay, you can take looks on the Joker film, how Joker become a criminal because it is the society itself which is discriminative. Next, you can say that, okay, Joker always disobey the rule. No. The rule itself is a problem. Yeah, the rule itself is a problem. Why? The rule in the Gotham City tends to give privilege to the have, just like a Batman. Batman can do with his own style. Yeah, so Batman is above the law, while the Joker and Ben is the victims of law. The law itself is discriminative. The law itself giving privilege to the have, yeah, while to the poor the law is so strict. Okay, so this is how the example of how works with deconstructions. First, you find the binary oppositions, and then you try to determine which is privileged, which is being marginalized, and then you try to reverse by exposing or showing the complexity that the hero is not always good, that the hero is also can be bad, that the hero can also disobey the law, etc. And the opposite, that's the villains cannot be said as 100% bad, that the villain cannot be said as 100% disobeying the law. It will be complex, so there will be a multi-interpretation, a multi-perspective in seeing one words or in seeing one narrative. Okay, that's it from my explanation. Thank you very much for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.